Hi and welcome to my walkthrough for the Master Solar Lost sector for Aphelion's Rest in Dreaming City. As you can see, it's void shields only, there's overload and unstoppable champions and stasis burn. So if you do have your adept Reed's Regret from Trials with Vorpal Weapon and adept week 1 spec, this is definitely your time to use it. I don't, so I'm using a linear fusion rifle. I think I'm using Tarantula here, but you could use any heavy weapon. And I think Le Monarque, the bow which you can get from the exotic kiosk in the tower, is enough to deal with the void shields in here. This is my first run, pretty straightforward. If you've run it through on Legend, you'll know where everything spawns. Everything stays pretty much at a distance, so I think this is a fairly easy one to run. So, as per usual, I am using the top tree Voidwalker, mainly for the Chaos Accelerant grenades. Slaver Bomb comes in handy with dealing with champions, and the other thing with the Chaos Accelerant is the Vortex Grenade. Healing Rift's always handy, and there's no jumping in this, so again, the dealer's choice on the jumps. I'm using a pulse rifle. It doesn't have to be an osmosis one here. I think the Le Monarque is enough, but it's useful to be able to deal with unstoppable champions. I'm using Taken spec. There's a lot of Taken in here, so that's quite a good choice. Le Monarque, as I say, I think is sufficient to deal with all of the void shields in here, and very good for stunning overload champions. Yeah, and dealing with groups of ads as well, groups of red bars. As I said, I'm using Tarantula. You could use any heavy weapon you wanted to, really. Tarantula's quite good. Threaded Needle's quite good. Corsair's Revenge is quite good. Taking advantage of particle deconstruction and the mods, the Fusion Scavenger and Unstoppable Fusion Rifles. Not using the Unstoppable Fusion Rifles here because I'm using my Pulse Rifle to do that. So yes, here I've got the charged up mod to get an extra stack of charge with light, along with a couple of linear fusion ammo finders. I've got Controverse Hold again for the extra grenades with shield break charge. Not too many shields in here, but it's always useful. I'm using Unstoppable Pulse Rifle as well, and Overload Bow to deal with the champions. And then again, a lot of arc in here because there are Taken, so I'm using arc resistance, using the taking charge for when I do generate orbs, and the Fusion Scavenger mod from the artefact. And finally, to take advantage of those orbs and the charge with light, is Protective Light. I use this quite a lot in here, and particle deconstruction is always handy when you're using a linear fusion or you've got a fusion in your loadout. So that's pretty much standard. I've been using that kind of loadout for a lot of the Dreaming City lost sectors. And so you can spawn in here behind the rocket. If you've done this on normal or legend, you'll know there's a group of Taken Thrall that spawn kind of at the entrance to a tunnel here, so I'm just going to deal with all of those with a grenade, all but one. Then a second lot will spawn in. You've got plenty of room to back up, so. Oh, you can see again, it's got the attrition mod in here. Forgot to mention that. That's another reason why running this on a warlock with healing rifts is quite useful. Right, so just dealing with the ads initially, you can see if you get the perfectly drawn, which I don't get a lot of, perfectly drawn shots on Le Monarque, then you can deal with a whole load of the overloads, right? Didn't really mean to do that, really, because this is the first time I've done this. I didn't realise that would chase me quite as far as it would. But having said that, making a virtue out of a mistake here, I am able to deal with the Unstoppable Champion on its own without having to worry about any adds around it, so it just means that I can just concentrate on this, stun it, get some damage, hide. I am looking for cover further back to see if there is anything. There is a fair bit here, but nothing where you could permanently hide from the unstoppable champion. So I'm letting it wander off. I'm having a look at this and thinking I could have it chase me either side, and that rock there in the middle gives me pretty good cover. So I'm going to encourage it to come back to me again, and then just use that as a kind of a roundabout to make him go one way, control where he walks, make him go one way and then the other, which means I'm never really in any danger. You see, and by the time he walks around, he's vulnerable to the stun again. So plan here is just to go from side to side. There we go, he's vulnerable again. Go from side to side, and then wait until I get him so he's finishable. Go in and get the finish. You can see there's the flash. Easy. Right, so the rest of the ads in this first little section, this kind of pool, are basically just taken thrall. Quite a lot of them, which is why the monarch is quite good, because if you, as I say, if you do get the perfect draw, you do get the cloud of poison that will deal with a group of bunched up ads. Can be tricky because obviously they do have the tendency to jink about the thrall. Right, so if you walk forward here, that will spawn a new set of ads. So you've got a couple of overload hobgoblins on the top and a load of taken scions that come in. One thing that the monarch is very good is at dealing with groups of scions like this. With if you can get the perfect hits, then it kind of creates that cloud of poison and kills them before they have a chance to replicate. So another reason for using Le Monarch in here. So I'm now going to return, really should have dealt with the scions first anyway, and going to return to the hobgoblin. So you can see, very good here, Le Monarch at stun locking the overload champions. Now, up to this point, you probably wouldn't even have realised that the attrition modifier was on because everything stays a reasonable distance away. I can see there's something behind here. Yeah, it's more taken scions. So again, trying to get a lot of them down. Didn't mean to pull him forward. Let's get back. Problem with coming back here now is I don't know if the scions have now replicated in my absence. But I just want to be sure that they are all dead before, and it does look like they are. They're all dead. Ah, there we go. That's the... I could just see the overload at the top there, right, so... Make short work of the unstoppable. I can see there's one more scion there, and then... I don't know whether this is standard, it just looks like the other overload champion has got stuck behind, so I'm just behind a rock, just looking for a way of getting a headshot. Looks like they're not snipers again. I wasn't sure about this, but it looks like they've got some sort of stasis weapon there, which would make sense given that it's stasis burn in the Lost Sector. So yeah, I'm just aiming above the head here and just letting the kind of the bullet magnetism just pull the arrow onto the head of the hobgoblin. And again, doesn't even get a shot away. So I don't know if that's standard behaviour or whether I was just very lucky there. You can see there's tons of heavy ammo here for when I need it. Right, as is always the case with dealing with these areas, you want to deal with the ads first before you move on to the champions as far as possible. Shadows here are kind of a bit misleading. The shadows you see, they're very good for kind of creating an atmosphere. It's a bit kind of survival horror, but because the light sources at the far end of the room, anything that's around that tends to cast quite large shadows on the wall to my right, which is quite distracting if you think there's something kind of appearing. Yeah, I found this. There's a little passage, a little tunnel, and the scions can, or the thrall rather, can crawl through to attack you from behind. They don't do it very often, but it's just something just to be aware of, that occasionally you need to un-ADS just to make sure that there's not something creeping up on you. Because it's only a thrall, it probably won't do that much damage anyway, but you know, if you're backing off, it's still important. If you're backing off because you've just taken damage, that could be the difference between, you know, a flawless run. And I think I demonstrate, as per usual, that by flawless I don't mean perfect. There are a couple of times here where I do come very close to ending the run, but it could make the difference between, you know, a flawless run and one that's you have to restart. So now that I've got rid of the red bars at the front, I'm just trying to whittle away the stuff at the back here. There are, as I say, same as before, the hobgoblins, the taken hobgoblins. There's also some orange bar. They're all, or the orange bar are all void shielded. Again, I'm just trying here to let the bullet magnetism pull the arrow back onto the champion. There we go, one down. And then there's one more. So I think it is the same with all of the Dreaming City Lost Sectors. Essentially what you get in the Legend and Master versions are a couple of rounds of ads with champions before you actually get the boss proper from the standard Lost Sector coming in, and then you will work through that standard. Oh, maybe not, because I don't think I killed that last guy, but that's definitely brought in the boss. That's the boss's attack. Yeah, you can see this ramp is really useful as well, because anything that's shooting from distance will be shooting over your head or falling short, and it does give you the chance to glitch. Now this is where I do kind of mess up a little bit here. I let him get too close. I don't go in for the finish, which I really should do, and this almost finishes my run here. As you can see, this is where Protective Light earns its money. But to be honest, that could have ended the run. Always, if you see the champion and it's finishable, don't hesitate. You know, if you're within melee distance, certainly, which I was there at the beginning of that. So, dealing with a taken scion this time. trying to get the perfect draw so I get the explosion of poison on headshots. There we go. That's where I found out that's where they jumped down. Didn't even realise. I've run this lost sector a few times. Didn't even realise that little tunnel was there. So just be aware of that, because that's, again, a single scion on its own won't do too much damage. But if you were, like me just a few moments ago, if you're backing off after having taken damage, that scion could finish you off then. So moving back onto the red bars at the front here, if I can hit a headshot. And now you've got the big boss, the proper boss, that very much, I mean, if you've done this lost sector, he just wanders around until you've done damage to him. Then when you get to him to about half health, he will then take up residence at the back of the room. Just try and hit you from there. So I'm taking advantage of the boss not being in my line of sight there, just to try and get rid of some of those ads at the back. Again, just be aware, as just happened to me there, that if you break a void shield next to an unstunned champion, overload champion, then particularly the hobgoblins, they will go into their kind of frenzy of revenge blast attacks. Yeah, I don't think I got that, which is very annoying. Got him all the way down, and he took shelter behind that. There he is, he's back again, he's fully recovered. The most annoying thing about those. Right, not worried as ever about darkness. I'm running this as though the whole thing was in darkness, because I'm trying to do the solo flawless. If you've already got that, then obviously don't worry so much about not dying, but to get the triumph, obviously you've got to do it without dying, so darkness doesn't really matter. Right, once I get this, I mean, I would say you can kill the boss first and then go for the champions. As long as you kill the champion before you open the chest, you will still get the platinum rewards. So I think that's it. It's just the lost sector boss there now, and all he will do is, I mean, all he does is just circle around that kind of central bit of rock. I don't think I've ever had him come round and down this ramp anyway. Yep, second time I almost kill myself there. So yeah, don't do that. And there's the third time, so you can see I'm getting a lot of useful use out of the protective light mod there. Protecting me from my own stupidity. Right, there we go. Now, second phase of ads here from the normal boss fight. So you can see, looks like he's a lot closer than he actually is with that shadow on the wall, but in fact, he's just close to the light source, so he's actually by now back on that platform behind the chest. So as ever, red bars first. It's not chaff, use your radar, check where they are, and now it's just dealing with all the stuff at the back. Nothing again approaches you, so you can deal with all of that, well, nothing apart from the red bars, and they never come any further than the end of the ramp here. So you can do this all quite passively, quite safely. Right, I think that's all the red bars. So I think it's now just the boss left to go from about half health. And there we go. Very safe. The only time I was in any danger was from my own mistakes there. So if I hadn't done any of that, I would have been fine. I forgot I was making a video here, so that's what I normally do. Is can't resist shiny stuff. But there we go. That is the Aphelion's Rest Solo Mastery, flawless, although not perfect. As I say, that was my first run, so I didn't really, apart from doing the legend run the night before, because it always follows the sequence, and if something is legend one night, then the following night it will be the master version. You don't get to see where all the champions spawn, but it felt quite straightforward to do. So I hope you get it on the first run, same as me, and good luck with that.